Pinterest. It's where people come up with their dream weddings and create their dream houses. But if you are a blogger, you can actually use Pinterest to drive tons of traffic to your blog. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how to set up a board, fill it with keywords, and get your account ready so that you can bring tons and tons of clicks to your blog every single month. All that and more coming up. Hi, my name is Sarah, and I am a full-time blogger who uses Pinterest to bring hundreds of blog views to my blog every single month. And the first thing I want to show you today is how to set up a Pinterest board. If you don't have a Pinterest account set up yet, in the last video that I did, I taught you how to set up a Pinterest business account, which is really important if you are a blogger on Pinterest because it gives you a ton of different stats that you can use to make sure that you are creating the right pins for your audience. So if you want to check out that video before you do this video, you can check out the iCard, or I'll leave a link down below in the description so you can check that out. However, if you do already have a Pinterest account set up, go ahead and log in. And when you do log in, you are going to come to this screen here. This is the Business Hub. So this is the default login screen that you'll see when you come on to Pinterest if you have a business account. So go ahead and go up into the corner and click on your photo. This will take you to your profile. And so what you're going to want to do is go down here and go to Saved. So as you can see, this is all of the boards that I have created. And to create your first board, go over to this little plus in the corner here and click on Board. So the first thing you're going to see is name. So obviously you're going to need to name your board. So this is the first thing that we are going to talk about because it is actually important what you name your Pinterest boards. So with your Pinterest board names, a lot of the mistakes that new bloggers make is they tend to name their board something like this: Cute Clothes or Yummy Recipes. Now these are okay names if you aren't actually trying to get traffic to your boards or your blogs, but these are not good names for a blogger. Because Pinterest isn't a social media site, it is a search engine. So we want to use keywords in as many places as we possibly can so that if people search a keyword, we can show up. Let me show you what I mean. So let's say I run a fashion blog and I want to make a fashion Pinterest board. And my first instinct is going to be naming it Cute Clothes. But we are going to do research to find out what a good name for this board actually will be. So if you go onto Pinterest and you click on the search bar, we can type in clothes. And as you can see, clothes is super broad. That could mean a ton of different things. But if you look here, we can see that there's clothes for women as one of the search terms. So all of these search terms that you see are things that people frequently look for. And we want to show up in these searches for things that people frequently look for. So we have to kind of think about what our target audience is. So what is this board going to be targeting? And I've decided that I'm going to target clothes for women. But I can even go even deeper and say, well, I want to target in this specific board, because you can create tons of boards. You can create general boards like clothes for women, or you can even go more specific and use this search term, clothes for women over 50. So if you have one board specifically related to clothes for women over 50, that is super specific. Because the way Pinterest works is obviously whatever you pin on your board, you want it to be relevant to the board name so that Pinterest can kind of figure out what the board is actually about. So if you have any posts on your site that are about clothes for women over 50, you could put them in a board titled Clothes for Women Over 50, just like these pins have done here. So as you can see, over 50, 5 best tips and tricks for hiding the belly fat. Wow, that was not what I was expecting that to end with. Anyway, how to wear leggings after 50. 6 things women over 50 shouldn't wear. And so this is the name that we are going to go with. So basically, don't go with cute clothes, go with clothes for women over 50. And don't go with yummy recipes, go with something more specific, maybe like lose weight meal plan recipes, because those are keywords that people are actually searching for. And a cool trick on Pinterest, if you're stuck on a board name, you can just go to the all pins here and you can actually search by boards. So you can see what other people are naming their boards, and as you can see, there are a ton of boards named clothes for women over 50 or fashion over 50. So this is one of the things that you want to consider when naming your Pinterest boards, because you can potentially show up in this search and get more clicks to your pins. One more thing to consider when naming your boards is after 20 characters, it will get cut out of the feed. So if you have a board name longer than 20 characters, anything past that will not show up. So a good strategy to use here is either don't have a board over 20 characters, or if you do have a board over 20 characters, make sure the most important keywords are at the front so people can actually read them. So if we go to my Pinterest profile here, you can see that I have a ton of boards that are over the 20 characters, and then it just has like the ... But as you can see, this is called Instagram business marketing, but Instagram business is the most important keyword there. Blogging tips, this is the most important keywords, despite the fact that it's called blogging tips for beginners. So keep that in mind when you are creating your Pinterest board names. So let's say we are going to use the Clothes for Women Over 50 board name. Now dates, I'm not exactly sure what this is. I think that's like if you're doing a project and the board is going to end at some point and you're not going to pin to it anymore, you can click on that. I don't know, I've never used that feature. You can play around with it if you want, but I'm just going to leave mine blank. Now you can have the keep this board a secret option. So for me, I'm going to keep this board a secret because it obviously does not fit my niche, but you don't actually have to keep this board a secret if you don't want to. Some people use a strategy. I tend to do this myself. They keep the board a secret until they have 10 to 20 pins on that board, because it takes about 10 to 20 pins for Pinterest to really understand what your board is fully about and actually rank those pins in search. So you can either keep the board a secret until you have it filled out a little more, or you can just launch it right away. Mine, since this isn't a board that I want to launch, is going to be kept secret. So then you're going to come to this screen and it's going to say save some pins to your new board. So it's basically just trying to get you to save pins. I tend to only pin my own stuff unless it's a new board. Occasionally I will pin other people's pins. Pinterest really wants, as a creator, for you to be pinning fresh pins and not repinning others' content. But if it's a new board, like I said, it takes 10 to 20 pins for Pinterest to understand what the board is about. So feel free to pin a couple pins from this section if you'd like, because it's not really going to hurt your account, but Pinterest just prefers that you don't repin content and pin your own. So I'm just going to pin one or two things here just so we can get some content on the board, and then go ahead and click done. So as you can see, those pins now show up here. So we are not done. The board is technically created, but there's a lot more customization options that we have to actually get the board ready for launch. Go ahead and click on this little 3 dots here right by the name and go to edit board. Now these are all the things that we are going to be editing. The first thing that you're going to see is a board cover. So if we go back over to my Pinterest account here, you might have noticed that all of my boards, at least most of them, have a board cover on them. So these are branded board covers that I made in Canva. And board covers, you don't really need them, they're not necessary, but if you don't have them, your boards will look like this, and it will just pick a random pin as the cover of your board. If you want your Pinterest to look nice and cohesive, you can create a board design. So I'm going to teach you how to do that quickly. I use canva.com to create pretty much everything for my blog. I have the pro version, and if you use Canva a lot, I highly recommend getting the pro version, but you can create everything that we're going to create today for free. So once you log into Canva, you can go up here to create a design. And a Pinterest pin board cover is 200 by 200. So I'm going to go to custom dimensions and type in 200 by 200 and make sure that it says px because it's pixels. Create a new design. So there are a ton of cute designs that you can do. You can make them either really simple, you can make them all the same, you can make them different based off the boards. It really is up to you what your brand is and what you want to do with yours. They even have a couple like designs that you can do over here. I don't really think any of these are great for board covers because you want your board covers to have a big enough wording to read them. So let's just say we want to create something like mine with just a picture and words over it. So as you can see in mine, this is my actual one. I just have a picture with the words and the 2 different fonts that I always use, my logo and my website name. You don't have to have all of this information if you don't want to, but let's say you do. We're going to go to elements here, and we're going to scroll down to grids. Click on this grid here and it will pop up. So this is where we can add a photo. So we are going to create a clothing board. So I am just going to type in clothes, and let's use this picture here. So as you can see, I just typed in, I went to photos, I typed in clothes, and you can just click and drag a photo over there and it will snap to the whatever size of this is. Now this is a pro photo. As you can see, it's got a little thing here, and since I have the pro version, I can actually use this photo. If you don't have the pro version, you might have to use a different photo. So like down here, this one says free. You will have to use the free ones or pay for the photo or pay for Canva, so make sure you're paying attention to that. So next what we're going to do is let's go back to elements, and we want to add something over this. So as you can see in mine, I added a little box so that we can actually write in there and be able to see the words. So let's add something different and do a circle. Now this circle is decided that it is going to be pink. I am going to make it white. So we just click up in this corner here on the color, and I can click on white so that it will turn the circle white. And I'm going to make this a little bigger. So I'm just taking the corners here, dragging it to the size that I want, and then just drag it and it can center it just like that. So as you can see, those little lines are showing up, which means it is centered. Next thing we're going to add is the text. So we are going to go to text right here, and these are the 3 texts that I always use. You may or may not have them. Because I have the pro version, I'm allowed to save a couple different texts for quick and easy use. So if you have the free version, you don't have this set up, you might have to search for a text. But just go ahead and pick whichever one you want. You can use 1 or 2 different fonts, doesn't really matter. Just make sure that the font is big and easy to read, because you have to think about the fact that these boards are going to be on a computer or a phone. They're going to be really, really small. So you want to make sure the text is easy to read and big enough so that people can actually read it. Use this pretty text here. So my font is actually huge and it's white. So I'm going to go up to the top here on the text color, and I'm going to click on black so that we can actually see what is going on. And then I'm going to click the text box, and we are going to make it smaller so that we can actually see what's happening. So as you can see, it just says add a little bit of body text. We obviously want to erase this, and we are going to add clothes for women over 50 as our text. Now I'm going to center the text in the bubble. So I'm just going to click on it and center it, and then drag it so that it is the size of the circle. I don't think this is big enough, so I'm going to make it be like 20 maybe. Okay, 20. Hit enter so that it looks kind of nice. Center it, and boom, there we go. Clothes for women over 50. So that is how you can create a super simple board cover. And now to save it, all you have to do is go to download, and you can either save it as a PNG or a JPEG, doesn't really matter. Download it. And so I am actually going to download this and save it onto my computer so that I can show you how to actually put in the board cover. And now we're going to go back to Pinterest and click on add. So as you can see, when you click on add, it only shows you the pins that I already have added. So you're going to have to upload all of your board covers as pins so that you can actually save them as your board cover. It's kind of an annoying process. I wish they would make it a little different, but unfortunately that's what we have to do. So we're going to go to cancel, we're going to go to done, and I'm going to show you how to add a pin so that you can add your board cover. So we're going to go down to this plus right here and add pin. You're going to see this pop up. We're just going to click here, find wherever your board cover is, and now you have to add a title, a description, and a link. So generally what I like to do here is, technically because this is a board cover, you don't have to add any of these things. But what I like to do is, for the title, I like to put the board title. When we get to the description, I like to put the description of the board as the description of the pin. And then I like to link the board as the destination link. And this is just so if anybody finds this pin onto Pinterest, which it is possible that they will, if anybody finds this pin, they can actually click on the pin and go to the board, and if they like it, they might actually follow you. Totally optional, you can just pin the pin as normal. So make sure it says the board that you want. So mine's clothes for women over 50, so it does say that, and then you can just click on publish. Give it a second, it's been saved to this. Now we can go to see it now, and it'll take us right to the pin. If you go down here, you can click on the board and it will take you to the board. Click on the 3 little dots, click on edit, and now click on board cover. And as you can see, this is now the first pin. We can click on save changes, and that is our board cover. And you can see what it looks like right here. So you can do this for all of the boards that you create. You can decide if you want them to be similar or different, but that is just a super simple way you can create a board cover. So the next thing we're going to get to is the Pinterest board description. Now, Pinterest board descriptions are important. You want to add keywords into your board description so that you can try to show up in search. And you can find these keywords the same way that you found your board name. If we open another Pinterest here, we can type in clothes for women over 50. And if you click on it, you can see a ton of different keywords that you can use in your board description. So plus size, shirt and tops, dresses, pants, coats and jackets, summer 2020, body types, different things like that. So unfortunately, Pinterest got rid of this for a lot of the keywords, but you might be able to find a keyword that still has this. So for example, I looked up baby, and as you can see, there is these keywords at the top, like shower ideas, shower games, names, etc. So you can actually use these in your board titles. Unfortunately, for a lot of them, like ours, it is gone, but maybe you have gotten lucky enough and you still have that option. But if we look up clothes for women over 50, we can find a bunch of keywords that we can use in our board descriptions. So if we go to one of my boards over here, because one important thing to remember is don't just stuff keywords into your board descriptions. What people used to do, and it used to work on Pinterest, was they would just do clothes for women over 50, comma, cute clothes for women, comma, jeans for women over 50, comma, and they would just add in a bunch of keywords without actually making them into real sentences. This does not work on Pinterest anymore. Pinterest considers this to be keyword stuffing. So you want your board descriptions to actually be sentences. So for example, you can see on my increase blog traffic. Need to learn how to increase blog traffic to grow your online business. Increase blog traffic and grow your online business are key words. Learn the tips and tricks on how to get more traffic and make more money. Keywords in there. Boost your traffic on Pinterest, keyword, and social media, and read traffic reports from other bloggers. Those are also keywords. Follow to boost your blog traffic today. So as you can see, you kind of have to make your board description sound more natural now and weave keywords as you would like a blog post into your descriptions. And there is also a 500 character limit on your board descriptions, so make sure you keep that in mind when you're creating your board descriptions. When to finish this project, we did that already. Next is collaborators. So you can actually add collaborators to your boards, which means multiple people can pin to your boards. This is known commonly on Pinterest as a group board. Now, group boards used to be a lot more popular and they used to work really well for getting views to your blogs, but they don't work so well anymore, so I honestly don't recommend joining any group boards because they don't work as well as they used to. But if you want, you can either invite people to it, or you can get them to copy a link and then you can send them the link. You can get people to be invited to your boards and they can pin with you. Next is keeping this board secret. We already went over that. And personalization. So this just means that pins inspired by this board will show up in your home feed. You can also delete the board down here, you can archive it, and you can merge it. So you really don't want to delete any of your Pinterest boards, because if you delete boards, you will lose the followers on those boards, because on Pinterest, people can follow specific boards. They don't have to follow your account as a whole. So if you decide that you don't want a board anymore, the best idea would be to archive it or merge it with another one, because you will lose those followers. But I think if you merge it, you will also lose followers. So the best thing to do would just be to archive it or keep the board secret, because I don't think the followers go away if it's a secret. And merging the boards just means that you are taking this board and merging it with this board, and the one board will go away. If you are merging the women for 50 with cute clothes, women for 50 will go away, and it will all be in the cute, all the pins will go to the cute clothes board. You can just click on done. Now here's how you can organize your boards. If you go to plus here, you can see there is a section option. So let's say I want to name one section jeans for women over 50. Add. This is now a section on my board. So sections are basically just ways that you can section out your boards, exactly like it sounds. So you can have clothes for women over 50, and you can have a jeans section, you can have a sweater section, you can have a leggings section, and it's just a way that you can organize your boards a little more and have more keywords stuffed into your boards without getting in trouble by Pinterest. And so when you go to save a pin, let's say I want to save this pin here. when I go to click on this, it will show me this section here, so I can save this to the jeans for women over 50 as opposed to all just specifically the clothes board. So I can save it to that, and then when I go back here and refresh, the pin is now going to be here as opposed to down here, which is the general board. The next thing I want to go over is how to organize your boards on your Pinterest account, because you actually have total control of which boards go first. The only one that you can't move, unfortunately, is the board that Pinterest has created with the all pins. This one, unfortunately, cannot be moved. You're kind of just stuck with it there. I find this slightly annoying that they've added this, because I prefer to have my Best of Business Women Thrive board shown first, but it's an update on Pinterest. There's not much you can do about it. So as you can see, the board that I just created, Clothes for Women Over 50, is shown right here as the first one. So whenever you create a board, it will go as the first board on your thing. But as you can see, there's a lock on mine, which means this board is the one that I have kept secret. So if you were to go to my Pinterest, you wouldn't actually see this board. The first board would be my best of board, but I can see it as my first one. So if you just click on the board, you can actually drag it. Just click and drag, and then you can go kind of put your mouse down to the bottom, and you can move your board anywhere you want. It's kind of hard to do, to be honest. Oh wait, it didn't. Nope, it didn't move at all. Okay. It's a little more easier on the phone, to be honest, but if you click on a board here and you just, I think that's an open space. There we go. Finally worked. So as you can see, I have moved it there. So you can click and drag them around and things, but I recommend doing it on the phone. It's a lot easier. If we go down here, we can see all of my locked boards here. So these are all of the boards that I haven't actually either gotten enough pins on or I don't want shown on my account. If you got value out of this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel down below so you never miss another video. If you want to check out the last video I did, which is creating your blogging brand, you can click or tap the screen right here and it will take you to that video. Or if you want to see the video that YouTube has personally picked out for you, you can click or tap the screen right here and it will take you to that video. And I will see you next Thursday. Bye!